And good evening, warm greetings everyone. Mark Emery here. I think most of you know who I am, no introduction needed. For those who don't, I'm an American, I'm a patriot, and I'm scared as hell about what I'm seeing going on in the country and around the world. As well, you should be too. This is why we're here this evening. Tonight is a special event, special occasion. We're really looking at this evening kind of being an official introduction. I don't want to call it a launch because that's kind of a process that will occur over time. But I want to introduce to you what the National Action Task Force is all about and what role you should be playing in that. All right. So let's talk about that. I'm going to go back and, well, before I do that, let me just establish why we're here, why the NATF was created. Anybody who's had any interaction with the court system, with officialdom, with the county recorder, with the tax assessor's office, with the county commissioners, you probably know very well that many, if not most of those people are in their positions not to serve you, but rather to serve the corporation. And so we've come to a point in history where the very foundations of the republic form of government that we're supposed to be operating under have been stolen from us. They're not operating under that guidelines. Our government has been usurped. It's been overrun by minions who are indoctrinated largely into the globalist mindset. And that being the case, you know, we've been hearing for 4 or 5 years now, haven't we, about draining the swamp. And this is not something that can be accomplished from the top down. Most Americans are looking to the president to take care of that business for us, when in fact, we, the people, are the ones who are responsible. It's our government. We are the government. And we're in this mess precisely because we've abdicated our role in maintaining the controls over those systems that are supposed to be serving us. And I'm sure everyone on here tonight knows, and for those who will be viewing the recording at a later date, will come to learn, if you don't know already, that we're at a critical point in history. And if we don't do something about it now, we're going to lose our freedoms. in our future forever. That Republican form of government will be gone. And you can see with the current voting fiasco, international attempts and interference in trying to take down our system of government. So it comes down to the people. And you've heard it 100 times, the quote from Benjamin Franklin when he came out of the National Convention, Constitutional Convention. The lady asked him, "What have you brought us, Mr. Franklin?" And he says, "A republic, if you can keep it." And we're at that point now where it's up to us to try and keep it. Perhaps the operative phrase should be, it's up to us if we can recapture it, because it's already largely gone. All right, so the National Action Task Force is set up to be a national organization to provide support, education, and the legal wherewithal to restore the form of government that was given to us and that we deserve to protect our inalienable God-given rights. And it comes down to that. I mean, it's 1776 all over again. We're at war. Forces are at work to steal our government from us, to steal our freedoms from us. And we're in an age now where we no longer need to use muskets. We use information technology, and the law. People say, well, why even bother with that, Mark? The law, the courts are so corrupt. Yeah, that's the point. The point is we need to restore law back into the courts. And one thing that will never be overturned, and that's universal law. That's God's law. God's law is forever. You cannot infringe upon God's law without dealing with severe consequences. That's universal, it lasts forever, and that's what we rest on. And so not only do we work with the tools that we're given in this worldly plane, but we also combine that with the spiritual power that we have, that God has given us to do our duty, to be good servants out working in the field, doing his work when he comes back. All right, so that's the premise of where we are in history and why the NATF is so critical and important for each of us to be involved in one way or another. And there are so many ways. I'm going to go over that this evening as to what that can be, what that might look like for you. Okay, so let me go back to the website. What's the vision? Let's talk about the vision of what NATF is intended to accomplish. All right, you know very well that there are hundreds, perhaps thousands of conservative, patriotic groups out there trying to preserve the American way, trying to preserve justice, trying to serve the people, educate the people in terms of the Republican form of government that we have. And what's the common denominator with all of these groups? A, they're underfunded. B, people have a tendency not to get involved in many cases. Why? Because they're afraid. They're afraid to stand out. They're afraid to be one man on an island for easy pickings, who can be picked off by the forces of the machine with no problem, because they have no backing. There's no one to back them up. They don't have the ammunition. And I'm talking about legal warfare, spiritual warfare, personal and professional support. All right. people are getting, the people who are standing up quite often do get picked off. All right, and that's what people have fear over. So we're going to eliminate that, and I'll show you how. Okay, so lack of funding, fear for action, lack of unified response, and quite honestly, many of these groups simply do not have the professional support to do an effective job of what they really want to do. All right, so what NATF wants to accomplish is to tie these groups together, bring them together under one banner that's nationally recognized, that has a national identity, that is recognized everywhere as one that is professional, one that commands respect, one that is well funded, and can support all of these individual efforts that are going on around the country. So if you're involved in one of those groups, this is not to say that NATF wants to absorb your group or take it over. Absolutely not. We want to provide you the means and the wherewithal to be more effective at doing what you already do. And we can do that in a number of ways, okay? So we envision putting together, and we're already well along the way in putting together a core team of professionals to act as the backbone for this organization, all right? And so let's look at what this organization might look like. So we have a steering committee. Right now, we've got not quite 10 people on this steering committee, which is basically putting the pieces of the puzzle together right now, the infrastructure, how this organization is going to operate. And we'll be adding more people to this steering committee who will be the department heads of the departments that you see in front of you, okay? Just to go through this quickly. IT department will handle website, shopping cart, we'll have merchandise, server functions, and different communications platforms and that type of thing, all right? Information technology. Public relations department will be instrumental in conveying our messages to the world, who we are, what we're doing, bringing focus on corrupt criminals in government, bringing light to the corruption into the public square, the public square of opinion, the court of public opinion, all right? Finance department will take care of accounts, books, payments, fundraising. We've got a number of different ways to handle fundraising so that we can provide funding to support the efforts that perhaps you and your organization are involved in different parts of the country, all right? Legal department will specialize and have specialists working in a variety of different disciplines and areas. So the legal department will consist of a variety of individuals who have experience and success dealing with foreclosure, court procedures, traffic tickets, zoning issues, violation of rights. There's so many different specialties in these areas. We're pulling these people together from around the country. And this will be the core legal department. So when a case comes in, when somebody needs help with a particular issue, we've got people in place to immediately come to their aid with consultations, with strategic review, and working with that individual to take the proper approach to nullify those actions that might be coming against them and to turn the tables and then go on the offensive to go after damages when rights are violated, when actual damages are incurred, think of the damages of all of the businesses that have been shut down and closed permanently due to the unlawful mandates from these corrupt globalist governors who are enacting ultra vires acts which are not authorized. We'll talk about some of the cases we're involved in already. Okay, so the legal department is a key area that will be available to come to the aid of individuals who are being oppressed in one way or another. Okay, in our support department, this will be onboarding new members, new chapters, helping coordinate and organize volunteers, as well as specialists who might want to contribute professional services to the organization. And so our cadre of members in NATF will kind of be on two levels. One will be on a professional level, who will be providing professional services, and much, if not most of that, they'll be able to invoice the organization and get paid for those services. Then there will be the other cadre of Americans who will be volunteers, concerned about preserving their future, preserving their form of government and due process and all of the rights that we the people have, and working with their local chapter. So the support department will be the first point of contact that new members will have. Collections is not used in the context that we think of collecting debts that are owed, for services. The collections department will be specifically engaged in doing research with the bond companies who bond public officials who will ultimately be paying for many of these damage awards that we'll be going after. Okay, so this will be a high-level investigative and negotiating function to finally close and collect on the damage awards that will be involved in many of the actions that we go after offensively. Okay, market development, we need to grow. We've got 47 people here with us this evening. We need to have 47,000 at some point very soon. And we have no doubts that in view of the need for what we're talking about here, that we'll have those numbers before long. We need to create a groundswell of support. What I'm talking about here is NATF on a national level. This is going to filter down into local chapters, okay? And those local chapters will be the feet on the ground who will really be the point of contact doing most of the work and draining the swamp, all right? So the personnel department, we're gonna, obviously we have quite a list of functions here, and this will expand. So this personnel department will do the normal activities there of maintaining high level of professional service in all of the disciplines that will be involved in maintaining a national organization. We'll be involved in merchandising, having the usual caps, hats, t-shirts, jackets that will be a part of branding the NATF ID nationwide, so that when people see NATF, they know exactly what they're dealing with, okay? And then internal affairs is going to deal naturally with security for reasons which you can certainly understand, and maintain fidelity in all of the interactions, communications, and functions that are going on in the national organization, okay? So you may very well have some level of professional expertise that you could lend to the organization and fit into one of these departments, okay? Either on a professional level or on a volunteer level, okay? So that's what the national organization looks like. And we're already making great progress, creating alliances with other organizations, legal groups, folks that are out there, fighting the daily battles for, due process, freedom, proper government, that type of thing. And we're not only talking about dealing with government issues, we're talking about dealing in private matters. Many of these corporations have gone rogue, and just look at the mortgage industry. The mortgage industry is a pure racket. The probate court system is a pure racket. Guardianship is a pure racket. It's nothing less than a mafioso organized racketeering operation designed to rape people for everything that they've got. And this has got to stop. And unless you and others around you start taking an interest in these things, it's just a matter of time before the steamroller is rolling over you, if it hasn't already. All right. So we have a high level of urgency in this matter. There's no time for delay. We've got to start moving now. All right. So let's take a quick look at a quick tour through the webpage. All right. Our mission statement is quite simple. It's twofold: to help defend people against abuse and the misuse of the legal system when it is engaged in the denial of God-given constitutionally protected rights. And we don't need to look any further than the current state of these bogus bullshit lockdowns and mandates for you to develop pneumonia by wearing these stupid masks. And we don't need to look any farther than that to be totally engaged full time going after this CRAP. All right. So right off the bat, we want to help people keep their businesses or get recompense for the damages caused to their business and defend against these tyrannical, abusive, unlawful mandates so that we can get back to the life that we're used to, the life that we are entitled to, and get back to living under natural law. Okay. Number two, to seek remedial measures and proper justice so that victims are compensated for the damages they have suffered. Until we start hitting these crooks in the pocketbooks, they're not going to pay any attention. We get 2 or 3 strikes against the bond of a public official who has gone rogue, that official is permanently out of office, any office. All right? That's one way that we, you, us, can start to help drain the swamp. We can have a direct impact on that, on getting some of these SOBs removed from their racketeering seats of power. Okay, and that's all they are. So there's 2 links in the bottom of this page on how you can get involved. Let me go now over and talk a little bit about, let's talk about some of the cases that we're currently involved in. And we're just getting started. We're just getting started on some of this. We've got, we're working on a case right now in Michigan against Governor Whitmer for her unlawful mandates. She's been rebuffed by the state Supreme Court, and yet she continues in her abuse. Absolutely amazing. One of our legal specialists, Rick Martin of the Constitutional Law Group, he's one of the specialists we're collaborating with, combining forces, ideas, resources. He's got the governor of New Jersey on the hot seat. They've got the governor of Washington State on the hot seat right now. And one of the things that NATF will do through our public relations is to create an effective public relations department, which will bring substantial nationwide exposure to some of these crooks. When we start shining a light on these cockroaches, many of them are going to scurry for cover. And so at some point in time, when the mafiosos around the country see people in NATF jackets showing up in the courtrooms, showing up in public venues, showing up at city council and county commissioners meetings, or just walking the street. We expect that NATF will command a certain level of immediate recognition and respect, if not deference. And you'll see how that develops here as we go along a little bit. But on the cases, we've got some specialists who do an excellent job in foreclosure prevention. Now that the abeyances to payments and evictions has passed, we're going to see a tsunami of foreclosure activity across the country. Estimates are that unless this is stopped, up to 40% of the population could be homeless or evicted out of their homes in the next year. 40%. Think about that, people. If that isn't a direct act of war, that doesn't happen in a free country. This is the systematic abuse of the central banking and fiat currency system based on mortgage fraud. And it's pure fraud. The mortgage business is a racket. It's based on fraud from inception. There is no mortgage issued by any type of bank, financial institution, or national mortgage agency that isn't based on fraud. This is a huge area that we need to be dealing in. All right, think of how many people are there that are going to need help on that. Okay, we've got, we just go right down the list. I mean, there are so many different areas of specialty in law where people are getting abused. Law, there are fathers who are struggling economically. Who isn't these days? And they're given a court order in a divorce proceeding, child custody type of scenario, to pay a certain amount. Quite often, the courts are slanted against the fathers. The court requires them to pay inordinate amounts that are just absolutely impossible to pay. They want to help their children, they want to support their children, but they cannot meet the obligations that the courts put on them. We've got one of the specialists on our team who works in that area, and he helps fathers who want to help their children get the courts off of their back so that they don't go to jail for contempt of court. And that's what happens. These fathers want to support their children, but the burdens of the court are so onerous, it's absolutely impossible. And so what happens? They're held in contempt and put in jail. Now, what does that help? How does that help the children? It's just a pure racket, and the courts will make millions of dollars by monetizing the bonds that are created from that guy going to jail. They actually want him to go to jail. They don't want to help the family. They want him to go to jail so they can monetize the bonds and get rich off of their back office dealings in the corrupt financial system. It goes on and on. You know much about that already, okay? So there are many areas of specialty. We've all dealt with traffic tickets. We can be in a position where our members can just basically be in a position to forget about the courts, be basically immune if you set yourself up properly. And this is the type of education that we're going to put forward, dealing with IRS income tax issues, dealing with zoning issues, permitting issues on property tax issues, and family case issues that I just mentioned. And the list just goes on. All right, so there's a huge need. Anybody who's had any interaction with the system as we have it, you know what the need is. And so this is why we're here. All right. let me just go to one other page. How to join and support the NATF. There's a number of different ways that are listed here. You can volunteer, you can start your own local chapter. You can support someone who's starting a local chapter. Team up, get a local team going. Join our team of professionals providing professional service. We have economic enhancement programs to help people financially. And that's our community support network, if you're not already familiar with that. Litigation of finance is a burgeoning area in the financial industry. It's new. This is basically where people will invest in a lawsuit and then share in the damage awards that they get. So they help to fund the fees in getting the lawsuit to fruition, to a successful conclusion, and then they share in the damage awards. We're offering something similar there for fundraising. People can donate directly at a very low level. You can simply stay informed, join our email list. These are all things that you can do, different ways to contribute and participate. Okay, now let me go and take a look at what it might look like to start your own local chapter. All right. So as a national organization, we want local chapters basically everywhere. All right. And here's what you might be looking at if you might consider starting a local chapter. All right. We've got an initial questionnaire that you'd fill out online. You can find that on the website. All right. We all need to take an oath. We're going to take an oath to the Constitution, to the Republican form of government, and that will be our contract with each other and with those whom we serve. Okay. We register in the Community Support Network. This is the initial way that NATF gets funded, which is basically a gifting program and a financial education program. This is going to add value to everybody who participates in their own personal way. All right, but we ask everyone participate in that with a simple one-time $25 donation. It has a networking feature to it, so we want this to go viral. We want people to talk about this, share it with others, and as we each talk to one or more folks out there, it has an exponential effect in growth. Okay, so that's going to help funding NATF in the long run. All right, we've got a jacket and a badge. Let me just pull those up, and we'll have similar jackets. You've seen the IRS jackets, BATF jackets with the big orange letters across the back. We'll have that very same thing. We'll have badges available. We're a private organization, and these badges will represent official representatives of our private organization. All right. We may have the title of officer. We may have the title of investigator. We may have different titles that are on that badge, but this will be your official point of recognition showing that you've been accepted into the NATF and have qualified to be in whatever position you hold. All right. So when you walk into the court as a court watcher, if anybody wants to know your authority or who you are, this will be one element to substantiate your position. All right. So that is kind of interesting. On the jackets, this is a bad mock-up, but you get the idea. Now, I've had personal experience dealing with this back in the 90s, and there was a group called the Civil Rights Task Force, and we had more fun doing this very thing that I'm talking to you about now. We'd go into the courtroom with our jackets, shirt and a tie, clipboard, very quiet, very professional. The prosecutors, the county employees, courtroom employees would all be kind of whispering to each other and looking over at us. Well, who the heck are these people? Are the feds doing an investigation? They were scared witless. They didn't know who we were. And we will operate with authority. because we have the authority. We as the people are the authority. And when we walk into any situation, we'll have knowledge and education to support us, and we will be in command of our own space around us. We won't be challenged or intimidated by anyone. All right? We go in peace. We go to create harmony. We go to help our public servants do their job properly so they don't step into a big pile of doggy-doo doing what they normally do. And that's our function, to create harmony and peace and law and order. We are the enforcers. The people are, in fact, our own private attorneys general when it comes to our government. Okay, now there's a lot we can talk about in terms of one government versus another form of government. We're not going to get into that tonight. Okay, but that's where we're going with that. So let's get back to our local chapter checklist. All right, so you'll have a jacket and a badge. You're going to organize a core team of people in your local area, which we'd like to see include someone who's very conversant with the law, the state constitution, the national constitution, be able to whip out legal research, very familiar with doing legal research, and can whip out things in a heartbeat. However, the national organization does and or will have a lot of this work already done for you so that you know exactly which statutes to pull out. You'll have checklists. If you're doing court watching or if you're doing any kind of engagement with any kind of public agent, you'll have these checklists to work with so that you know immediately if or when any violations occur, and you can make an attempt to correct that individual, put them on notice. Because quite honestly, many of these people really don't know what the hell they're doing. They really don't, okay? They operate on policy. That's all they know is the policy. The policy is discussed in their meetings, and that's what they operate on. They have no clue what the law is in many cases. In fact, I've run up against that dealing in court with other attorneys. I've run circles around other attorneys because they don't know the law. All they know is what their paralegal puts together for them in their pleadings. Someone else does the legal research for them. The attorneys know procedure. That's what they know in the courtroom. And they'll beat you on procedure. They don't know the law. And when you come in knowing the law, you've got every advantage and the authority to command the situation, okay? You'll organize court watchers. If we have folks that we're trying to help out that have court appearances, we'll go in as witnesses. And a thought just came to mind. I'm not going to go down that rabbit trail, but it relates to JAG officers, military legal officers, actually have authority in the courtroom. We'll be dealing with that on a different level, okay? Emergency response observers. Wouldn't it be nice to know if you're in a given community area that if you are being accosted in any way, contact tracers, traffic police, city inspectors, if anyone's giving you trouble, that you could immediately put out a chat on WhatsApp, have that go down the contact tree, and within 10 minutes have 15 independent observers there on the scene with you, being witnesses to what's happening. Wouldn't that be a source of strength and confidence for you? Just saw a video where this very same thing happened. A city inspector tried to enter a business. The business owner wouldn't let him in. Quickly, a group of people showed up or were already there and wouldn't let the inspector in the business unless he had a warrant. He says, well, I don't need a warrant. I work for the city. I'm here to do my job and inspect the city, inspect the business. And the group just shouted him down. No, you don't have any right to be here. If you're not a customer, you're here to obstruct and interfere in this business. Go back, get a warrant, and then you can come back. Of course, to get a warrant, there needs to be some probable cause that a crime has been committed. He's not going to get a warrant. All right. He tried to bluff his way into that business, and the people shouted him down because they knew the law. You have no authority to be here. Get out. Go get a warrant, and then you can come back. Well, he left. He never came back. All right. And that's what we need to have. All right. So emergency response observers, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to have in your local community? Okay. A liaison officer. What does that mean? A liaison officer is one who is a member of the chapter who will reach out to other entities to establish communications, collaboration where necessary. I'm thinking particularly with the sheriff, establish relations with the local sheriff to smoke him out if he's going to be on the side of the law in his oath of office or not. That will help determine what course of action to take with that particular sheriff. Other entities, not only in public service, but also in the private realm. We're looking to have liaison officers establish collaborative arrangements with other groups. Look for other groups that might be in a position to be able to collaborate with us. We can help them. They can support us in different ways. Let's make each other better by sharing, our mutual interests and putting our heads together, sharing resources where possible. Okay. So our objectives are to help people defend themselves against court and other official abuse of any kind. As a local chapter, we'll have community outreach to bring education to the people so that they know how to defend their rights. They know how to protect their businesses from unlawful interference, provide educational, logistical, and moral support in court. Again, here's where the court watchers come in, or administrative proceedings with council meetings or commissioners meetings. All right. We can provide general education to the public and public servants. Again, most people are ignorant. And this is why so much of this abuse occurs, is because people don't know where to draw the line. And because of our ignorance of the law, we allow these rogue officials to get away with murder because we don't know any better. Oh, well, they have authority. They can do whatever they want, I guess. Well, that's what some people think. But of course, that's wrong. So with knowledge and education, we know where to draw the line, and we can help public officials, again, avoid stepping into a trap where they would be acting outside of their scope of authority, thus acting in a personal capacity, which would bring on heaps of personal liability. So we want to help them avoid that whenever possible. Because if they do step into that trap, the NATF is going to be there to exact our pound of flesh and let it be known that this is unacceptable behavior. So we're here to create harmony, not conflict. Fundraising, that'll be an ongoing activity. We've got a number of interesting ways that we can generate funds. I've mentioned a couple, and there are others which we'll get into. We want to defend families and businesses. All right. As the people, the source of government, the source of all authority, it's up to us to come together, to work together to defend ourselves and our businesses, which is our own mutual interest. And the local chapter is going to more than likely take up local causes and make an impression in the community by getting involved in, any one of, a number of issues that might be important on a local basis. NATF will be there to help support local causes that will have a positive impact on the community. Okay. So that's just a little bit about what we envision in setting up a local chapter. We're looking for people who would have the initiative and the commitment to begin this in their areas. We've already had a number of people say, yeah, I'm interested in starting a chapter, or maybe you're not the type that is in a position to start one, but you might be able to support one, just to be a part of the group and contribute in some way, however small or large that might be. Okay. Sometimes just having folks present in a meeting provides a great level of moral support, and that in itself is important. Okay. So the way to do that is go to our join page, and you'll see a link on to take you to a questionnaire. You'll fill out a questionnaire online, and once that questionnaire gets completed, it'll be delivered to us, and then we'll be contacting you personally just to discuss, what we can do together. Okay. How we can help you. You might need help in a particular area. Maybe you've got a case or an issue going on that we can help you. Maybe you might like to help start or support a local chapter. You might have some level of professional service that you could offer the national team, and take it from there. All right, so this is a big vision. It's a big vision, folks. We're thinking big because we need big results. We're in a position now in our state of affairs, state of the union, that big thinking is required. And we have to come out of our shell. We have to put aside the fear that's been drummed into your head throughout your lifetime, and assume the authority that God has given us. God has given us dominion over this earth. You know what that means? Dominion. That means you are the boss. We are the boss. We control our environment. And it's about time that many people realize that, educate themselves, get some knowledge, and that fear will dissipate. Once you start acting like the boss, people treat you that way. It's amazing. Whether you are or not, you assume authority, people will give it to you, because people are born followers, and they're trained and conditioned that way. I could give you so many examples in my life where I just assumed authority I didn't have, and people just said, oh, okay. It's amazing. All right. But we have to stand tall, knowing that we are, in fact, priests and kings unto God himself, and that there is no authority that shall come between us and dissipate that authority that we already have. We just have to start acting like who we were meant to be. And if we can come together in the NATF, each group around the country contribute, join us in one way, shape, or form, without having to change or modify their own identity or activities in any way, shape, or form, let's come together under one banner, make the NATF a nationally recognized organization that is respected as being professional, as being lawful, as being correct, and there's no limit to what we can accomplish. Okay? So with that, we're coming up on an hour. Let me just check the chat and see if we've got any questions that you'd like to throw my way. And I see, wow, quite a few. Okay, yeah, 40 million people facing eviction in January. Do you think some of them might be looking for help? The lockdowns are incurring a huge toll on people. People have lost their jobs. There's millions of people that need what we're doing. Let me just put it that way. And if you can plug in with NATF, join the Community Support Network. There's a link on the join page. You'll see it at the bottom, scroll to the bottom. That could very well be a way to help supplement your cash flow quickly. And the beautiful thing is it's completely off the grid. The CSN is basically a gifting program that we share with others. And as your network grows, you begin to receive more donations to yourself. NATF is a part of that, that matrix structure. So you'll be helping yourself as well as helping NATF when you enroll in CSN. So look for that link at the bottom of the join page, and that could help you if you're suffering cash flow wise. And we'll ask that anyway for those that want to get involved with us, okay? Yeah, we want to collaborate with general assemblies, with grand juries. We want to collaborate with all such organizations that are already doing what they're doing. Okay, we want to collaborate so that we can help them, they can help us. We can all come together as one unified force under the NATF banner, and yet still maintain naturally our independent and individual identities and activities. Okay, so it's the best of both worlds. Someone asked me, Mark, are you ever coming back to the States? Not if I can avoid it. I left for a reason. I've been back several times. Yes, I can come back. I'm not, I'm not barred at the border, but really the way things are right now, I wouldn't want to be there. Okay, scrolling through here. Oh, David's got a client that has recently retired JAG commander. We want to talk with him, David. We want to understand that system and learn how to interact with that. So David, please contact us on that. That's beautiful. Yeah, bankruptcy, David, is something that we'll be dealing with. In fact, bankruptcy is one of the ways to forestall sheriff's sale in foreclosure. Okay, so that's one potential strategy that might be used. We do have people that are experienced in bankruptcy, so that is something. Yeah, a big part of what we want to get into education-wise is showing people how to get rid of those liabilities. As I mentioned in the email, the liabilities of being a resident, a citizen, a licensed business. We don't need those things. There's ways to operate to just push that completely out the door. Okay, Lorna sent a letter to the sheriff. Glad to see that, Lorna. We all need to be sending these letters to the sheriff. We have one on our resources page, a letter to the sheriff. I'd like to ask everyone to go seek that out and send one to your local sheriff. And that's something we'll be doing on an official capacity when we have the local chapters. We'll arrange a meeting in the official capacity as a chapter for the NATF, and we'll have an approach with how we want to approach that sheriff, talk with them, develop a relationship, and make it as positive as we possibly can. We want the sheriff on our side. He's there to protect the people. I've seen the comment made, and it's very poignant, that the sheriff is there to protect the people. He's elected by the people. The police are there to protect the corporate city and to raise revenue for the corporate city. So the police work for the city, the sheriff works for you. Stephanie's already been standing up to the bullies. Glad to see that, Stephanie. And with a little bit of education, your fear goes out the window. I mean, there's always a certain level of fear. But when you have knowledge, that fear dissipates and you can command authority and respect. And that's what this is all about. Photo IDs for members. Yeah, that's an important point. We have photo IDs for our World Mission Church, which are quite interesting. But that's a different thing. Doesn't have a birth date, it has a born again date. For address, we just say no residence, sojourning pilgrim, which is absolutely in accordance with our status as a member of the church, missionary, whatever you want to call it. Okay, the JAG angle is this. We know that we're dealing in military courts, right? A lot of people scoff at the idea that, oh, the yellow fringe flag, bringing in Admiralty and Maritime, that's just a conspiracy theory, patriot garbage, but it's not. I've seen it with my own eyes in the federal statutes. I think it was Title V. In the annotated version of Title V, it even spelled it out in black and white that the gold fringe represented military jurisdiction. And now the current versions of the federal annotated statutes, they've written that out. They've removed that. So in my current versions, you won't find that. Removing a lot of information which we could use to contest their authority, okay? So a lot of things are being rewritten, like the Black's Law Dictionary, you know. Black's Law Dictionary is very good, but from my understanding and experience, I would only use the 6th edition or prior. Anything since then, many things have been changed and removed. But the court being a military, I don't want to call it a military tribunal, it's really an administrative tribunal under the military flag because of the national bankruptcy. All right, the court is an administrative tribunal administering the bankruptcy. And so the JAG angle is, and this has happened, that veterans of the rank of colonel or above would come into the courtroom in full military dress. And if the judge stepped out of order, that military officer would stand up in the gallery and address the judge in such a way to correct his erroneous ways. And that has actually happened. Hartford Van Dyke has written a complete manual on this subject that I'm trying to get back in touch and get a hold of that. But it's a very interesting way to do that. In fact, I did a video interviewing a gentleman in Colorado who had firsthand experience with that. You'll find a video on the YouTube website, Exit Babylon, about military courts. You'll have to look for it, it's in there. Now, for those who have some serious funds, we have a very interesting proposition for you. If you've got some funds that you'd like to put to good use in this organization, we can do it in such a way that you could apply those funds to a trading scenario and commit all or a portion of the profits generated from those funds to the organization while still retaining control of your funds. You follow me? All right, so for someone who had, let's say, $50,000 or $100,000, we could trade off of that. You still maintain control of your funds, and you simply pledge, a portion of the profits generated to the organization, and that could be quite interesting. Or split the profits even. Make your money grow for yourself and spin off a portion, to the organization. That could be great. So that's available. And in fact, I do the trading. So I would be directly and personally responsible for that. It's what I do already. Okay. Going after the bonds, yes, absolutely. That's what we're after. and we'll be perfecting that method as we go. Okay, Mike's got it figured out with the Lieber code. Back to the military courts issue. See, we all have so much information, so much knowledge, and yet when we're on our own, honestly, a lot of it just gets wasted. It's good knowledge, it's great to have, but what can we do with it? So we need to come together, put this information together under one massive push with the proper organization and the proper people in place to move this forward, and we can really have an impact. We can really make a difference, and that's what we need. Someone asked David Rockefeller one time, aren't you concerned at all about the Patriots? And he laughed, kind of chuckled to himself. He says, no, not one bit. A, they're not organized, and B, they have no money. And he's absolutely right. All these splinter groups out yelling and screaming and, calling out, fire, fire. But what's happening? Where's it going? We're splintered, we're underfunded, we're underorganized, and this is what the NATF needs to solve. Okay? So as we do get better organized and moving forward in a professional, high-level manner, people are going to notice that, and we will attract the brain trust that we need. We'll attract the funding that we need. We'll attract the right people, because look at this vote fraud scenario. It's out in the open. We're under full frontal attack, international attempted takeover of our form of government. It's war, absolute outright war. People are waking up. They see the need for this. And as much as Trump and the white hats might do, he can't do it all. He needs the people behind him. And here we are, stepping up to help drain the swamp on a local level. So that's why we're here, and that's why we all need to be involved, because if we don't do it now, folks, our future's gone. Forget it. It's over. At that point, the only thing you have to hope for is the rapture. And let's pray for that. But in the meantime, we've got work to do. So that being the case, I'm going to wrap it up, folks. Thank you so much for your participation here this evening. Go to the webpage, fill out one of our questionnaires, join us. Let's get some local chapters going. We need some leadership, and we're going to put some of your knowledge and information to work, some of your contacts, some of your networks. We're all going to come together, and we are going to create a force that needs to be reckoned with, that will be recognized and respected nationwide and even internationally. We could be a model for other groups around the world. So I'm thinking big. I believe in miracles. I'm moving forward in faith, and I trust that you will be too. So let's end with a short prayer, if you would join me, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus, giving thanks and praise and glory for all of the blessings that you've bestowed upon us, for the freedom that you have given us for the last 250 years. We give you praise for all of your blessings. We thank you for bringing us together this evening, the right people at the right time to do the right thing, that we may do our part to preserve the freedom and liberty that you have given us, and that we will be considered good servants out working in the field, all for the praise and glory of your name, Jesus. We pray, amen, amen, and amen. All right, folks, thank you. God bless. I hope to be speaking with each and every one of you in the very near future. Get to the website, please, national-taskforce.org. Fill out the questionnaire. We'll be in touch with you, and we'll get things organized and moving forward. Thank you very much. Take care, and God bless.